Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Brandon, and today I'm going to be recommending you guys some books. One of my all-time favorite genres are thrillers. Before I get started, there are a couple facts I want to touch on first. First off, there are several elements and different aspects to the term thriller. It's really subjective and, to each their own, I think. Thriller for me really borderlines horror. There are different thriller books as well. I think there are like subgenres where they're more focused on crime, like mystery thrillers. There are suspense thrillers and psychological thrillers. And today I'm going to be recommending you guys books that are a little bit from each. Some are fast-paced, some are very heavy and complex, and some just very easy to read and flip through, but others you really have to immerse yourself and fully sit down to take in what you're reading. Today I'm going to be recommending adult thriller books, mainly because I don't find a lot of YA thriller mysteries to be very engaging or very good. In fact, they're very rare. But if you guys do want to see a YA thriller recommendations video, just let me know down in the comments below. I actually have filmed a YA thriller video like a while back, and if you guys want to watch that, I'll leave that link somewhere here. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the books I'm recommending to you guys today really range from simple fast forward reads to really heavy and complex. If you're new to the whole genre and whatnot, and you really want something straightforward, something not too complex and heavy, I would really start with Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. I just recently got this at the Amazon bookstore. Yes, Amazon has a freaking bookstore now. It's about a wife who has found out that her husband is a serial killer through a car accident. She escapes, takes her children, and takes new identities and moves to this place called Stillhouse Lake while her husband is in prison. However, soon her peace is disrupted when a dead body is found in a lake. And soon she must protect herself and her children from these certain threats. This one barely clocks in at 300 pages. It's really short, and it's really tiny and small, so I got to it in like a day or so. It's very fast-paced. I really would recommend this if you're somewhat new to the whole thriller genre and you want something not so heavy. I would really recommend Stillhouse Lake. Alright, the next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. This one took me by surprise because when I read the blurb and then I went into this book, it went in a completely different direction than I thought it would. The twists in here were just so subtle that I had to reread it again. This book is more psychological thriller, basically about a man and a woman, two strangers who meet at an airport bar. And over the course of drinks, they're a little bit tipsy, slightly drunk. They play a game of revealing each other's secrets about themselves, but not revealing their names. The man, who is actually married, just jokingly, says, "Oh, I want to kill my wife," which is, kind of crazy. And the woman, surprisingly, says to him, "Oh, well, I'll help you do it." So over the course of this book, a game of cat and mouse also happens with a detective hot on their tails, resulting at least a murder. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to be very vague going into these books just because I think it's best to go in to these types of books without knowing anything at all. Rather straightforward in its story, and it's not very complicating at all. I found this at Target too. Target now, I think, is the best place to shop for thrillers or new releases. And they have really great ones as well for cheap. They're like 20-30% off. So the next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. This book has also been made into a HBO TV show, which was freaking fantastic. I think it's more of a suspense and mystery than anything else. This one, I think, of all the books I'm going to recommend to you, has the least amount of thrill in it. It's very lighthearted and very funny. It's just so surprising. I didn't think it would be that funny. Before watching the TV show, I actually read the book first, before watching, and I think if you have already watched the TV show, you should really read the book. I think you would appreciate it so much more. And the characters, you find out more about the characters, and it's just so much more engaging. It's about a group of moms, and soon their secrets pour out, resulting in murder, mayhem, and mischief. And it's very suspenseful. It's not very thrilling, but it's an option out there. So now I am going to be recommending you guys some books written by UK authors. And the first book is In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. One of the first thriller books I read from an English author was Girl on the Train, which I'm pretty sure all of you have heard. To be honest, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I wasn't too keen on it. I didn't really like it. I found it really predictable, but the reason why I'm recommending this book to you guys is because if you guys want something really easy, fast-paced, simple to read, I really would recommend this one to you. One of the other main reasons is because Ruth Ware's writing style was just great. It was awesome. So this book follows a group of friends. A woman is about to be married, and she invites all her friends to a local cabin in the woods. These friends haven't seen each other in a long time. Secrets start to come out, resulting in murder and chaos, and it's insane. I figured out the twist very early on in the book, but that's not to say that some of you guys won't, or at all want something you're just hesitant to pick on. I think this is a really good pick for you to start. Going on with the UK authors, I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh. So starting this book, I was very hesitant and I was about to DNF this because it was absolutely going nowhere until this twist came out of fucking nowhere and blindsided me so hard. I think this one has probably the most genius twist I've ever read in any book. This one is about a woman, a mother, whose child is killed after a hit and run, and it follows two detectives who try to locate and find the driver for this hit and run while the mother goes to the countryside grieving for the loss of her child. There's so much more to the story. As I said, they never reveal anything, and it's just insane and incredible how the story progresses because I would have never thought it would have ended from point A to point B. It was insane. I wasn't really used to the British slang or terminology, and I actually put this down. I started this a while back, but I just recently picked it up and finished it. It was a little complex in the plot, I think, but nothing too heavy or handed that you'd be confused or anything, and I would really recommend this one. I think this is one of the novels that almost everyone has read. Please read it. It's insanely good. So good. This has like probably one of the best twists you will ever read. Twists as well. The next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is a very hyped book that came out this year. However, I'm going to recommend it to you guys because I feel like a lot of you guys will really like it, but some of you may actually really hate it. I fell into the side that actually really loved it, and it's Final Girls by Riley Sager. Actually incorporates the trope of the final girl into the novel, which I found super fascinating. So if you don't know me, I love horror movies, specifically slasher horror movies. When I found out that it was going to be a book about the trope Final Girls, I was just immediately invested into the book. There are some problems, there are some flaws that I had some, but not to the extent where a lot of people have with this book. So many people have hate this book, but a lot of people really like it as well, so it depends if you really like the slasher horror genre. If you don't like horror movies or slasher movies, I would suggest not picking this one up because reading from a standpoint of a thriller point of view, it's not the greatest. But if you really like horror movies and slasher movies, you know, slasher, bloody, I really recommend you pick this one up. It's just so fun. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars purely out of entertainment and just how fun it was. So this book follows a girl who is a final girl dubbed by the media and society after she has brutally survived this tragic incident where all her friends are all killed. She's not the only one. I believe there are four or three final girls in this book. Soon, one of them is murdered. The main final girl, the main character in this one, is joined by another final girl, and together they must find out what is happening. The main character also must question what really happened that day caused her to become the final girl. This one had really great twists. I think, even though a lot of people didn't really like it from the standpoint of a thriller point of view, I think the twists in here were just so profound and just so amazingly done. Again, I think if you really like thrillers, maybe best to stay away from this one. It's really enjoyable, very fast-paced. It's one of those fast-paced thrillers where I just flew through. Then again, I'm sort of biased to this whole book overall. Who knows, maybe this might be the one for you, maybe not. The next two books that I'm going to recommend to you guys sort of have a horror overlay over it. This one is horror. I also think it's also thriller as well. This one is Hex by Thomas Old Huvelt. Basically, this one has a witch. Yeah, it's more supernatural. It's psychological horror, but also thriller, because I think it has more thriller elements than horror. I think this falls on both genres as well. This book follows a town, a cursed town. Once you set foot in this town, move there, basically, you're cursed. You cannot leave this town no matter what, because if you leave, you have suicidal tendencies and you actually go through and commit the act. People actually acknowledge the curse. They know it's real. They know the witch is real because so many people have committed suicide. The premise was just so interesting, and it was very creepy. Heavy emphasis on psychological. This one really questions the human morale and humanity in general, and I found that just to be very fascinating. I think it just questions the fact that, you know, sometimes humans can be the worst monsters and the actual monsters. I really recommend this one for like a spooky Halloween read. The next book is Night Film by Marissa Pessl. This book, I think, has a very sly overtone of supernatural in there. It really makes you question what is real and what isn't. It really plays with the supernatural aspect as well. This one follows a journalist who has a really bad reputation. He tries to investigate suicide of a renowned film director, his daughter. This film director makes these excruciatingly dark and gruesome movies that have turned into cult classics and are basically banned from any theater or anywhere. And all these movies, if they are found, are thrown away. No one has ever seen this film director as well. Overall, very dark and very mysterious. It was so heavy and atmospheric. It's not scary in the sense that it's horror, but it really plays with your mind on what I said earlier, what's real and what isn't. It also incorporates like pictures, newspaper clippings, the social media outlet, which I thought was really cool. This one is sort of heavy book. I mean, it's very dense, and it took me a little bit longer than I thought it would to get into. This one is very creepy, so I would suggest you know, if you don't like creepy or scary books, to make sure you read this with the light on. It made me look over the shoulder. I'm not even kidding. Like, I actually legit looked over my shoulder like a couple times reading this book. I was that creeped out. The next book I'm going to recommend to you guys is Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson. It's about a girl named Kate. She's British and she moves to America and switches places with her cousin. So her cousin moves to England, I believe, and she moves to either Boston or Massachusetts, somewhere along the lines. The reason why she moves is because she's running away from an abusive ex. Soon, when she gets to the apartment, a neighbor turns up dead. So she really starts to question everyone around her since she's new in this foreign place and everything. And this one really plays on your fears. I think this one was so real and very grounded in a suspend your belief in sort of way. The ending was, it was kind of far-fetched, but you know, I really liked it and enjoyed it. I really think that main character was written really well. I really recommend this one if you really like fast-paced books. This one really creeps up on you. It's very suspenseful, this one. Last and not least, The Good Daughter by Karin Slaughter. I cannot recommend this book enough. It was just so viscerally raw and engaging and just so emotional. Probably one of my favorite psychological thriller of all time. This was my first book from Karin Slaughter, and you can bet I will be definitely checking out her other work. This one, of all the thriller books that I'm recommending to you, this one was the heaviest, most complex, and very hard to read, just because it was so gruesome and so dark and so disturbing. This one was very heavy. I don't think it's for the faint of heart. If you're new to this whole genre, I wouldn't suggest going to this one first, just because it's very character-driven and character-heavy. I don't really mind those types of books, but I don't really read them. But I really enjoyed this one in this case just because Karin's writing was so darn fucking good. Like, her writing was incredible. And it really just made these characters really flawed and grounded. The twist in this book was just insane. This book revolves around two sisters. At the beginning of the book, they are forced to experience this horrific carnage. This book starts off with a huge bang, with a huge plot twist already. They go in their separate ways as they get older, and they have to go back into the town where this tragic event happens because something happens. I'll leave my Goodreads review down below just in case you guys want to read it, because there are trigger warnings and I don't want to spoil you guys, but at the same time I don't want you going into this book unaware what that trigger warning is. So I'll leave my Goodreads down below, which has a spoiler option on there if you want to view that. This one was very brutal, fantastic, very well done. I absolutely loved it so much. Oh my god, so those are all the books I want to recommend to you guys. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have read any of these books, if you guys have any other thriller books you guys want me to read or check out. I'm always looking for new thrillers. Again, I'll leave all my social media links down below in the description below in case you guys want to check that out. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you guys all soon with a new video. Goodbye.